Preseason game number 2 goes the way of the Buffalo Sabres again. Different takeaways. This time I got some for you on the forward group. That's coming up here on Locked On Sabres.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? What's up, Sabre fans, and welcome into this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. And as always, thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on the Odyssey app, Podcast Addict, wherever you get them. You can also watch us on YouTube. Hit us up, like and subscribe button there. You can also leave a review or leave a comment or a question in the YouTube comments if you would like. And of course, the best way to do that, though, is by heading over to our text club. Join subtext.com/LockedOnSabres, the place to sign up if you haven't already. Hey, maybe you're someone that just likes to sign up during the regular season, not so much during the off season. Well, now's a good time to get back into it. So be sure to hit us up there if you got a question. I got one comment to read about last night's game in a little bit. Coming up on today's show, we've got some Zack Benson talk because another great performance from him. I shouldn't say another, it's his first. I just get very excited to talk about Zack Benson. Favorite player to watch on the team and really good moments from him last night. Konsta Helenius also impressing. Got to get to that. And then some details about the home opener, including what the Sabres are doing with the goal song this year. That's all ahead coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. So thanks for taking part again. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So 2-1 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets as the Sabres roll along their first home game of the preseason. 2 of the 6 are through. So we've got 4 games remaining. Thursday night at the Detroit Red Wings is next. Then you got a Saturday afternoon preseason game against the Red Wings at 3 o'clock at KeyBank Center. So new acoustics in the arena, by the way. If you want to reach out, I haven't been in the arena yet watching these games on the stream or on TV. I can't really tell through that the different acoustics in the arena, which is one of the big upgrades they did this offseason. So if you've been in the arena and you get there before me and you want to write in how that sounds, if you even notice a difference, love to hear from you. So be sure to do that. But last night's win, 2-1 over a AHL heavy Blue Jackets team. But nonetheless, you play who they put in front of you. And it wasn't all AHL guys. There were some NHL players from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Zach Aston Reese playing for the second night in a row. Miles Wood, Hudson Fasching, maybe a little bit more of the tweener guys on an NHL club getting some action last night. And that was kind of it. Ivan Fedotov in goal, but it was a large contingent of AHL guys for Columbus. None of their big guys. Like even the few NHL guys that might have played for them are bottom of the roster players, third, fourth line, bottom pairing, backup goaltending. Like it wasn't anybody of consequence from Columbus. So that is the thing you got to remember when we go through anything about last night's game is what's your opponent putting out on the ice, because that can be a big swaying factor one way or the other, what a team looks like. So some takeaways to get to from last night overall, but I really just want to dive right into my biggest takeaway from the night is the top line, what they looked like, what it was, and Zack Benson making the play of the night. An amazing pass, an amazing assist where he completely fools the goaltender, thinking that this is, again, like I don't want to just keep belaboring the same point, but he's one of the smartest players I've ever seen. He tricks the goaltender into thinking he's coming in around behind the net, maybe on a wraparound or putting the puck out on the left wall. Instead, he slings it back to Tage Thompson. If you're Tage Thompson, and he said in his first press conference of the season a couple days ago that he'd like to score 50 goals. And he'd like to get 100 points. If you're Tage Thompson and your goal is to score 50 goals, or if the Sabres' goal is to put Thompson with players that are going to get him into the best environments to score goals. That play right there is why Zack Benson might be as good for Tage Thompson as any other player on the roster. I remember last year, late season game against Boston. This was just a little bit after they had put that line together of Kulik down the middle with Thompson on the right and Benson on the left. Benson hadn't gotten a lot of time with Thompson up until that point. And the different type of play creating goal for Thompson. Last night, it was a great pass where Thompson gets the puck and he's got 30% of the net to shoot at. And if that little bit of trickery behind the net doesn't take place and some other player slings it out to Thompson half a second earlier without that misdirection, well, Thompson still gets a great scoring chance, but he might only have 10% of the net to shoot at. Benson has made the goal easier for him through his action. And the Boston game last year was a different way of creating a goal for Tage through battling versus the passing, where he got to the front of the net and he attracted two Bruins defenders at the same time while the puck squirted out to Thompson, who had just the goaltender to beat. Benson, through different ways, I think will create for Tage. And I really hope that that line stays together. And it's a big role for him. It's as much as I love Benson as a player, and I am very optimistic about this line working. Norris down the middle, Thompson and Benson, but in particular, the Benson and Thompson combination. As optimistic as I am about it, I recognize it is not a sure thing that a guy that had 28 points last year is just going to go up with Tage Thompson and be a first-line NHL player. It's a massive role increase for Zack Benson. I mean, he's not played 15 minutes a night on average in his first two seasons. What is he going to average this year playing on the first line? Is he going to play 16 minutes a night? Is he going to play 17 or 18 minutes a night? But it will be more. It's a big ask for him. He's kind of taking on the Peterka role in the top six, doing it very differently. Peterka more of a scorer, but those minutes, Benson is going to get a lot of them. And I like that Lindy went right to that. Right back to, that's the guy. I'm putting him in there. I want to see if he's got it. And I got a lot of texts last night as the game is ongoing, and I'm watching as Benson's playing on this top line, and they're dominating. Like, whenever they're out there on the ice, you know, it's clear. They are an NHL line and a top six NHL line in that, playing against a lot of AHL guys. On the night, how dominant were they? When Norris, Thompson, and Benson were on the ice, and they were on the ice for 7 minutes and 9 seconds of even strength ice time together. 12 shot attempts for them as a line, 1 for the opponent. Massive gulf. Shots were 4-1 only, so they didn't get everything through, but 4-1 with them on the ice together. They had the one goal. They didn't give one up. Expected goals for percentage was 94%. Here's the better number. Scoring chances last night when you had Norris, Thompson, and Benson on the ice together, 8-0 in favor of the Buffalo Sabres. Loved it. I love the line. I really hope it stays together. Benson, what you saw last night is he has the mind of a playmaker, and he's got 2 shooters on his line. And what Benson lacks, which I still think is the shot, got to look at it a little bit last night, still didn't look all that impressive to me. What he lacks, you got one of the best guys in the league on your opposite wing that's going to be able to fire those pucks home for you. The other thing is, while I didn't notice his shot being much better last night, and all off season for me on Zack Benson, it was 2 things he's got to improve on. He's got to get a better shot, and he's got to get faster. And bigger too, but he already wins a lot of battles. It was more for me, get stronger because of your shooting and then get faster. I don't know if the shooting's any better, but last night, and I got a lot of texts about this too in the text club, where like multiple different people like, is it me or does Benson look faster? Now, NHL Edge, who does the player tracking, the speed data, I'll be interested to see what they have on Benson early in the season. They don't do preseason stats as far as I see, so can't tell you what he was last night. But just from my own eyes and from a few of our texters' eyes, I think Benson looked faster. I don't know what types of drills or if he was working on. I haven't heard him talk about working with the skating coach. See if we can get him on the podcast because it'd be something I'd like to know from him. Like, how much did you work with a skating coach in the offseason? And is that something you tried to get better at? Because through one night, he looked faster to me. And that'll be big if he has improved his skating. I mean, last year, statistically, Benson was one of the slowest players in the National Hockey League. So getting that to improve, if I get one of those two things, the shooting and the speed to improve, I think I would take that right now. And at the moment, it looks like skating would be the thing. So great night for Zack Benson. Great night for line number one. And every performance they have like that, that line's going to stay together. And Benson, with that assist last night, and got a little power play time too, but I don't expect him to make a difference on the power play unit. It's more about the 5-on-5 minutes with Norris, with Thompson. Do you do the dirty work for them along the boards? Do you set them up because you're a playmaker and they're more shooters, finishers? And if you do those things and that line keeps playing the way it did through the preseason, they're going to be the first line on opening night. And maybe Benson never gives it up. Maybe he just runs with it. We'll see. But good first step for him last night. When we return, another young guy, not a NHL regular yet, though. Konsta Helenius. Impressive showing again last night for him. His place in all of this, the opportunity that he is getting, I want to talk about him when we return here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Today's episode presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. The hockey season's approaching, but the NFL season is here. And FanDuel's making sure that you're ready for all the kickoffs with a can't-miss offer. With all the games coming up, you got primetime games on Thursday night. You got it coming up, of course, Sunday and Monday. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. And, of course, you've got, Trey McBride tomorrow night, one of my favorite players in the league to watch. He is as involved in an offense as any tight end in the league, and I think he is the best tight end in the league. So that's where I'm going to be looking for tomorrow night's game. But, hey, maybe you just want to watch how the odds move along the way, and if you like something, then you do it. Makes everything more exciting, whether you're watching your team or you're maybe just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, best way to add a little bit more energy to your Sundays or in maybe your Thursday nights. So you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Check out some of those Sabre futures for the season. Maybe you're really optimistic and you think, hey, they could surprise and win the division, and you're going to get a huge odds payout on that. So that's an option too. Check out all those hockey futures at FanDuel.com to get started today. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet today. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Sabres win 2-1 over Columbus, 2-0 in the preseason. By the way, so if we don't count last year's win against Red Bull Munich, which you might not want to anyway, although they played all AHL guys here while that was going on, but whatever, run with me here. They went 5-1 officially in the preseason last year, 5-1 officially, and then started the season 1-5. So grain of salt. Don't take the results to mean anything. Just another little PSA here on that. I want to mention every day. Like individual stuff to learn from. Yes. Team overall score. No. So 2-0 in the preseason doesn't mean anything. Konsta Helenius playing well last night does mean something. He played 16 minutes on the night, and he was playing on an NHL line, getting a little look with Jason Zucker and Ryan McLeod. You saw Konsta Helenius playing on the wing, and I thought looked like he was holding his own. He played the part. He got an assist on the night, and I thought he really didn't have any negative moments in the game. I thought he looked like a player that if the Sabres had to call him up and play him on a line with Ryan McLeod and Jason Zucker, which, by the way, like that's Greenway's spot. That is the defensive shutdown line. And Helenius, like he's a first-round pick, and, I'm hopeful he'll be able to produce offense in the NHL, but part of what he is as a player, remember we had Michael Leone on in the Amerks playoff run last year. Who did he compare him to? Brad Marchand in the postseason. Because what he was doing for the Amerks wasn't just scoring. He had 6 points in 8 games. in those playoff games, but he was defending. He was creating turnovers. He was getting in the other team's head, being physical, starting stuff at the end of games. Like, he was doing it all. So he's a first-round pick, but different than Noah Ostlund. Noah Ostlund, I would never call up unless I had an offensive spot available for him. I don't want to play him 7 minutes on the fourth line in a defensive face-off type of role. Top 6. Helenius, I'll put him anywhere. If I need a guy in a pinch to play on my fourth line, I think he could do it. If he's got a guy in a pinch to play in Greenway spot, I think he could do it. So on the night, I thought impressive from him. Good speed, uses his physicality. I think he's got good defensive instincts. He created a couple of turnovers last night that I was impressed with. I thought it was a really good game from him. The one moment he had that wasn't good, and actually Lindy Ruff had a little back and forth with Paul Hamilton in the press conference last night about this, was Lindy actually asked Paul, I loved everything about his game last night except for one thing. And he had Paul answer what it was. And Paul said, was that he missed the empty nets because he missed a couple empty nets yesterday that he should have scored on. And Lindy said, nope, it was the penalty he took. He took a bad penalty during the game. So one negative moment, I guess, on the night from Helenius, but everything else that happened on the ice, I was thoroughly impressed. I would keep him on that line going forward. Like, I know the Sabres don't want kids joining the lineup, and most fans don't want another 19-year-old having to come in and save the day because they've done enough of that over the years and it never seems to work. But at the same time, what do you do if he looks like the best option, right? Like, if he's better than Justin Danforth, or especially Mason Gearson, who he definitely is better than because he's a fighter, what do you do? Like, I would just keep giving him the opportunities, and maybe you play him a game or two at the start of the year until Jordan Greenway gets back, again, because of the type of player that he is. He's not just offense. So I would keep playing him with NHL guys until he proves that he shouldn't. And maybe that happens and he goes down to Rochester. Either way, what's most likely here that he's earning is not an opening night lineup spot. It's probably a long shot that he will. What he's earning with a game like last night, where, by the way, if you're interested, like, what did the numbers shake out for him when he was out there on the ice? Like, to give this with a lot of these guys. When Konsta Helenius was on the ice, pretty low event hockey, by the way. 5-4 Sabres in shot attempts. They actually did not register a shot on goal when he was out there, but they only gave up 2. So really low on that front. So little surprised by that, actually. They didn't record a shot while he was out there. But again, he missed a couple empty nets. That's really why. So anyways, what he could be earning is not an opening lineup spot, but first call up. They'll get injuries, and inevitably, when they've got to call up Rochester and bring somebody up, they'll remember this training camp. They'll remember this preseason, and they'll think of their first-round pick from last season, Konsta Helenius, who they could plug in pretty much anywhere. Center, wing, bottom 6, maybe top 6 if you really needed it, and you probably could put him anywhere. So I'm pretty optimistic about him as a prospect right now. Him and Ostlund, to me, are 1-2 in the pecking order, and there's probably a pretty sizable gap after that for guys that are close. Like, Mertka is there, but those two, I think, are really getting close. And maybe Helenius, because of his versatility, is actually supplanting Noah Ostlund as a call-up right now. Because last year it was Ostlund, not Helenius. And we'll see if what they do in September, October, November, I guess, when they might need to call somebody up. When we come back, some details about the home opener that we learned about today and what the Sabres are doing with their goal song. That's coming back here on Locked On Sabres. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast presented by Monarch Money. So most people can't name where all their financial accounts are or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. So Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts and minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNHL. All right, home opener. Not too far away. How many days away are we from the home opener? October 9th. Days until October 9th. We are looking at 15 days away. Wow. 2 weeks from tomorrow. 2 weeks from tomorrow. Coming up. So, Sabres and Rangers. Some of the things that we're going to be getting from the Sabres would be a cool night, cool event. You know, first night of the season is when everybody gets to stay a little hopeful because it's hockey and crazy things happen. And one of these years, I think I've said this a lot before, but I want to reiterate it. One of these years, they're going to make the playoffs when we don't expect them to. It actually was a thought I had back with the Bills in the drought years ago, which was the same thing. Like, they're one of these years, the year they make it, we won't expect them to. And that happened with the Bills. They made it in a year that they didn't expect. And this would be a year that I wouldn't expect it. I don't think many expect it. I see some projections that have them squeaking in. So it's not totally unheard of, but it's definitely not common that the average hockey fan, the expert hockey fan, the Sabre fan even expects that their team is going to be in the postseason, the Sabres specifically. So opening night is everyone's got a little hope that this could be the year that they actually get in. And here's the hope in that. So what'll you get? Blue and gold carpet, which starts at $345, by the way. So autographs for all the kids and everybody. That'll be a cool event. Every year, I think that's cool that they do that, and they're bringing that back. Live music outside the arena at $445, which would be good. They'll have like rallies and stuff, like rally towels and, you know, some of the giveaway stuff, of course, as well. But the thing I'm most interested in, Sabres announced about opening night, and you can get all those details, sabres.com. The most interesting thing they said is they're going to introduce their new goal song, not via Twitter or the website or, you know, some crazy announcement. They're just going to play it the first time they score. So we won't know what their goal song is until that button is pressed on opening night. By the way, I saw Chad Tina had a funny tweet about this. They're really setting themselves up for a jinx here where they get shut out in the home opener and we don't hear what the goal song is, which would be totally cruel. They'll probably score in the home opener, but, you know, Shesterkin has owned them at times. So we'll see. The finalists, they had the vote, 5 finalists for goal song of the year. Acquiesce from Oasis. I think that's a really good choice. I think that's the favorite personally right now. Tick, Tick, Boom by the Hives. I don't think that probably wins. Every Time We Touch by Cascadia. That one is more of a Jeff Skinner style goal song. I'd be surprised if that becomes the goal song. Just, I don't know. It's not a sing-along song. It's more, again, Skinner, it would have worked, but for the team, I'm not sure. Swords of a Thousand Men, Jeremy White, WGR, my co-host, that's his song. He's all in for that. 10-pole tutor. That's my second leading favorite right now. And then Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue, which is what they had last year. And I got a bone to pick here because I don't believe for a second that all these fans voted for Kickstart My Heart. It is a fine song. It's a great song, motivational song for, you know, if you're working out, or it's on my playlist. But Kickstart My Heart as a goal song just doesn't work. And I can't imagine anybody heard how that went last year and thought that it did. So when they had this vote to set up, you know, the finalists, people were writing in Kickstart My Heart. I'm wondering if the Sabres, you know, snuck that one in there. Like, hey, we're automatic bid to last year's goal song so that if it wins, we could say, see, the fans wanted it. It wasn't just us choosing it, which is what happened last year. I can't imagine people are going to pick Kickstart My Heart. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's between the Oasis song and Swords of a Thousand Men. Those would be the two that I would expect the goal song is going to be. And I'm into Swords of a Thousand Men because you get to sing along. It's swords, right? So it lines up with the team, and I think that probably works the best. We'll see what they get, hopefully. By the way, you can still vote for it. You get a vote of the 5 finalists, and you can vote once per day through October 3rd. So I don't know why they're closing it 6 days in advance, by the way, but all right, whatever. Get things ready. I guess that would actually make sense. And then 1 vote per day. So if you really care, you can come back every day and do it. All right, it's going to do it for us today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Tomorrow night against Detroit, in Detroit. So we'll talk to you after that game, and we'll see what we get from the Red Wings matchup, and then they'll play again on Saturday. So come back for that, and we'll talk next time here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Be sure to check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Your fantasy drafts are coming up. If you're not in fantasy hockey draft, you should get in one. A lot of fun, and you can check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey with Steel Roden, Flip Livingstone, all the expert stuff that you need going into your drafts. You can get from Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll talk to you after Sabres and Red Wings here on the Locked On Sabres podcast.